Hey guys, I'm going to be recording Japanese Dark Visions number 14. This is just the first four areas, and the first four areas are very, very easy. I already cleared it, got a perfect score and everything, and I wasn't really going to record this, but a few people asked me, what's the Japanese Dark Visions like these days? So I figured I'd just go rerun them, because why not, and we'll record it. I'm only going to do the second boss of each area. The first boss is the exact same race, same weaknesses, etc. It's just easier. So we're going to be starting with Dark Phoenix. This is weak to Ice and Earth, so we're using this team. And because it's the first areas, I just half-assed my team. You don't really need to worry too much about it. Faisaless carries this all by herself. So we've got Phasey. The boss does physical damage, so we actually don't even need her cover. She's just our provoker with evasion. Regis just here to basically give us a chain skill on turn 2 to get that 100-point chain score. That's really it, honestly. Shadow is going to be just breaking and filling LB gauge, and that's pretty much it. Whatever. Kuja is wrong element. He is here just because he's a quad cast, single target cast wave awaken chainer. That's it. Saul is going to be doing his ice damage. I didn't even give him any killers because I'm lazy. Who cares? And then Faisaless, we're only using her shift form. 5k magic. She's wearing HP materia, which is irrelevant. All I did was hit auto build for magic, and it gave me this. I'm not even bothering with killers. Like I mentioned, the first few areas are super, super easy. If you've got any kind of relevant DPS, you'll just cap damage. It's like whatever. So we're just going to fill LB with Phasey. Regis is going to do some buffs. Shadow will, let's see, break. And, we don't want to double break though. We want to just break and fill some LB. It's also going to give us a double stack of Mirage, which is going to make this a little bit easier. Because, yeah, the boss does do some AoE physical attacks. So we'll do that. We'll just power up with Saul. We'll go ahead and shift Faisaless so we can do our ice damage. And we'll do all her cooldowns. Wait for this to finish. I don't want Kuja to deal any real damage until next turn. And we'll go ahead and do all this. And then Faisaless' Magnus and the shift will give her a full LB gauge next turn. There we go, good to go. Alright, Saul's going to go ahead and shift to his ice form. And we're going to 1, 2, 3, 4. Kuja's going to off element. This is more to build the chain than anything. This is not really for damage. And then Faisaless is where the real damage is coming from on this fight. And then we're going to just chain this AR skill to build the chain a little bit. So we're going to start this, then start the mages. And once Faisaless' cap comes in towards the end, yeah, will be big damage. Now, the damage cap was removed in JP, so you'll notice we actually didn't go that far above the damage cap. We get a 2.8. But the max damage is still only 2.14 billion. So even though the cap is higher, you only got to hit the old cap to get a perfect score. Now, I could have easily, put in some real DPS units other than Faisaless. I could have geared killers, and I could have gotten a higher score for the EPing purposes. But there's no point. I mean, what's the point? Who cares? We got a perfect score. That's all that matters. All right, so let me go ahead and change the team, and I'll jump into the next fight and see you in a second. Alright guys, next up we're going to the other magical area. We're going to jump to Dark Finra. This is weak to Magical Wind and Holy. I'm taking the same team, again, just being lazy. Because we're only using one proper element unit, I just stuck some killers on Faisaless. Got a little bit of Beast Killer, 225 Magical Beast Killer. The rest of the team, no changes. I didn't feel like bothering. And, should actually swap that. Yeah, same team. The boss does physical AoEs. We're going to be double miraging with Shadow, so, whatever. It doesn't really matter. We're going to just easy mode it. So Kuja will do light element stuff. Saul will just power up. We're going to just do, let's see, actually, we're going to Magnus on Saul, power up. And we'll just do this. This is wrong element. That's just to power it up. Alright, Shadow is going to break. And then LB fill with Mirage. Regis is going to do a bunch of stats in LB fill. And then Phasey will LB fill, and we'll hit the boss to try to get more LB crystals for Physalis. We got it. She's good. We'll fill the rest of the way with Shadow next turn. It's fine. Okay, so some physical attacks, you know, whatever. And Shadow will triple LB fill, so we can get Physalis good to go. Good to go. Alright, Physalis will do Wind. We'll shift Sol and do Ice, which is completely wrong element, but who cares. Kuja will do Holy, which is correct element at least. And then Regis and Phasey will just chain AR to build that chain score a little bit. So we're going to start these, wait, send the mages. And there we go. Again, I'm just, you know, whatever in it. Physalis completely carries the stage with her wind damage. Yeah, 3.14 billion. Because I actually bothered to equip killers this time. We did a lot of damage, even with one unit. You know, the last stage I didn't even equip killers. Okay, so there is the super easy way to do the first area mage fight. If you've got Physalis, it's in the bag. We'll go ahead and pop over to the physical fights, and we'll see you in a second. Alright guys, next up is going to be the physical stages. These are stone enemies, weak to physical, water, and dark. We're going to be popping in with this team. Phasey is, this one does magical damage, so it's magical, lightning, and light element. So we're 100 to each. She'll be our passive provoker. Regis just for the chain granting skill. Poppy for imbuing and imperiling water. Other than that, you know, whatever. Lastwell is going to be just a chainer. I gave him the Mirage material, but actually the boss doesn't even need to be Mirage, so whatever. Riku is going to be the breaker and a chainer on turn 2. Again, I'm not bothering with killers, because I actually don't have killers for stone. Not really, at least. And then Lastwell Reagan are going to be a capper. I'm sorry, the shift form is going to be a capper. We're geared for LB damage. 200 stone killer and 280 LB damage. There we go. He's going to be carrying the fight. Yeah, it's basically just all about Lastwell Reagan. He has replaced Tifa as the big boy DPS capper. He does way more than Tifa does. So yeah, but his LB is a lot harder to fill. So we're going to be using Phasey to fill LB and hit the boss. Regis is going to be filling LB. Riku is going to go ahead and break with his LB first. Lastwell will just do a Mirage. Actually, we don't even need Mirage. I just said that a minute ago. Whatever. Doesn't really matter. Alright, let's go ahead and shift. And power up LB for you. Regis will do that. And Poppy will, let's see, imbue water. Let's do a stone killer buff. And let's do a huge LB fill. And that'll pop off the rest of Reagan's LB. Okay. So the boss does some magical damage. It's irrelevant. It's lightning and holy element. We are immune in it with our magic tank. Alright, we need to imperil water still, so we'll go ahead and do that with Poppy. That also amplifies our water damage. And let's go. Let's build some chain with Lastwell and Riku. Now this will deal damage, but quite honestly, the damage is really Lastwell Reagan. And we're going to go ahead and use the Regis granting chain skills with these two. Alright, so we're going to start this, and then send our capper. Which hit somewhere in there, I didn't even see. Okay, we did 10 billion, so we overcapped the damage cap by 5 times. Thank you, Lastwell and Reagan, for sending Tifa to the dumpster. I'm being harsh. Tifa actually is still really good in Dark Visions. I just don't need her for the early stages. We've got the new hotness. Alright, let me go to the last step, and I'll see you guys in a second. Alright guys, next up is going to be a physical machine stage, Dark Alexander. We've got, let's see, fire and lightning weakness. So we're going to be using this team. We swapped in Signacio for physical cover. I'm sorry, for magical cover. This one does water and ice damage, and we're bringing him because he can imbue fire. Other than that, he's full evasion, passive provoke, and he's going to be covering magic. Regis, whatever, he's just, you know, whatever. Eileen is going to be for her Magnus to fill LB gauge, as well as buffing Machine Killer. We don't really need that, but you know, whatever. Lastwell is going to be a chainer. He's wearing a fire weapon, and then Riku is going to be a chainer wearing a fire weapon. He's also the breaker. And here's Riku's materials. Lots of killers. And then, again, Lastwell Reagan are going to be the big boy DPS with the cap. We've got 280 LB, 200... I'm sorry, 175 Machine Killer. And there we go. Alright. Go in here and blow up Alexander, and that'll be it for today. Part 2 is when it gets serious, and that opens 2 days from now. Alright, so first thing we want to do is break. We're going to go ahead and shift Lastwell Reagan, and then we will do cooldown. We're going to do a cooldown. We're going to do some imperils as well. Actually, this boss doesn't need Mirage, so we'll discard. Let's see. We need to fill LB gauge. So we're going to do that. We're going to fill LB gauge with Eileen. And then Signacio is going to cover magic, and we'll imbue fire to Lastwell Reagan to let him use the best possible weapon and not have to worry about imbues. Alright, so we imperiled fire with Lastwell Reagan, and now we're ready to go. Same thing as before. We're going to go ahead and use Eileen to buff Machine Killer for a little bit of extra bonus damage, and then we're going to chain with our Absolute Mirror of Equity Chainers, which is going to be capped by Reagan's LB with the Aurora Ray single cast from our Regises. Alright, so we're going to do this, and cap. I think I saw 100 and something, whatever. I don't know. It's hard to say the numbers. We did 8 billion, so we overcapped the needed damage by 4 times. Thanks to Lastwell and Reagan. Yep, whatever. Super easy. Okay, so that is Area 1 of Japanese Dark Visions, and then Area 2 with the final bosses opens on October 28th. So 2 days. Okay, so I'll see you then for the slightly more serious bosses. Later.